Well, I think I should focus on getting this demon out of my head. And of course, I think you should help me. And if we pick up a few new source tricks along the way, so be it. I've got to say, I think we're onto something interesting here. Yes, finally progress. It's odd, you know. I can feel that it knows I know. I feel this kind of rage and terror, but I know it's not mine, too. I guess it's sort of like sitting around the dinner table with someone who's in a really bad mood. You can try to enjoy your meal, but your food loses its flavor and your appetite shrivels up, and in the end, all you can feel is what they feel. Oh, you're the best.
She reaches for your hand and squeezes it hard, hard enough to make your knuckles ache.
It'll be all right. I'm so close now. So close to getting it gone for good.
She smiles.
I know its name, after all. Like you said, how about that? Oh, hey. What, this old gaggle of weirdos? Oh, she's all right. A lot of bark, but I think she really cares about what we're doing. Better that than a sweetheart who'd sooner watch you walk off a cliff than shout, "Look out!" He's got the thing, you know? Some people see the world as it presents itself. Other people see it as it really is. Jahan's one of those. I don't know about home, but I do sort of miss the gang I travel with now and then. Crawler, Madcap, Papa Joris for sure. Musicians mostly. We all had our own stories, our own troubles, but when we were together and the music was with us, it was like none of that mattered at all. When you have people like that around you, you know, a family, even rain feels like sunshine.
Speak. We should sail off into the sunset in search of the Nameless Isle. An idyllic enough spot, no doubt.
She smirks quite joylessly.
You heard the way he spoke to me, didn't you? I don't think I'll lose any sleep over his violent demise. Roost. He was wickedness come to life. In his mind, we were nothing but things that squeal delightfully when tortured and ravished.
She looks at you intently, with searching, questioning eyes.
Does such a creature deserve anything less than death? Indeed. The name's on my left arm. Several I killed with pleasure. You saw what I did with Stingtail. You saw it made me feel good. You read the ecstasy in my eyes when I made Roost scream. I ask again, does a creature like me deserve anything less than death? No innocence, not anymore. But in their name, so many guilty ones.
She holds up her needle, and eyes it with the same searching, questioning look she gave you.
Beyond the blood hides nothing but a desire to be happy. I can only hope that is not too terrible a crime. Ah, yes. I am the Prime Scion. A revelation that came quite out of the blue, which is somewhat ironic, considering I'm supposed to be my people's foremost memory keeper. Quite slipped my mind, though. A slave scar will do that to a girl. Yes, a great many things. Days long gone.
She looks down, an uncharacteristic cast of melancholy passing over her face.
Gods, I was so young. Imagine it, to sit enthroned under a vast forest canopy, to look down upon a crowd of thousands, their bodies aglow with countless rays of golden light falling through the leaves. You hear their voices as one. One mind, one thought, and it's your name they incant, as if the word itself were magic. Sabille. They said it like I was the cornerstone of their existence. Isn't that silly? I didn't even know myself. Good question. It's a very lonely thing indeed to be the object of a people's worship. What is revered is feared at the same time.
She absent-mindedly fingers her needle, hesitates.
I used to love poetry. I used to love wandering the forests for days on end. I'd swim in the rivers and forget to dress after. It was fine. I was alone. I'd bask in the sun, sleep nestled among bear cubs. Nothing out there would harm me. But always, they would find me, the scions. Always the mother tree would call me back, for one day I'd be free no longer. One day my legs would be roots. To wander would be but one lone memory among millions. Clearly not. Though I must admit that even to sit on that throne amid that eerie crowd, destined to become leaf and bark, was not so dreadful a prospect as what came next. When I decided to run away from the mother tree with only the moon for my guide, it was a terrible journey. Soft-leafed branches became vicious like whips. Moss-bedecked rocks became sharp like the stone axes of old. I grew weary. I was bleeding, in pain, and how I gasped when for the first time an animal eyed me with malice and growled. That is when I heard them. The whispers and the taunts, the low howls of men. The snare cut so deep. The blindfold, it made me panic. The dark.
Somewhat to your surprise, Sabille doesn't recoil, but allows you to hug her.
Thank you. That very first moment of darkness. I've never been so scared ever since. Then there was the stench of those men. The burn of the ropes. The jeers and the kicks. Until the dark went silent. Even those barbarians didn't dare speak in the presence of the Master. But I'll not speak of him and his methods. Not now, anyway. If ever. Ha! A tale of cloaks and daggers and daredevilry. Are you up for it? Wonderful.
She bows with thespian flair.
Imagine a black room. It's been your room for years. You know it by touch more than sight, for it's always dark. And when I say always dark, I mean always dark. You're either in the room or in the box, for it's in the box that you travel. You're only let out at night, because you only hunt in the night, with the Master's voice in your ears urging you on. And after it's done, you lie down in the box once more, with wet hands and mad red thoughts. Sometimes it's best to let sleeping questions lie. The thing is, the box didn't break me, though I confess it taught me to hate. One night, I killed a scholar. With my needle through his fragile old skull, he fell headfirst upon his writing desk, blood mingling with spilt ink. It's when I saw the ink that timid thoughts of rebellion first bloomed. Back in my dark room, I dipped my needle that killed the scholar in his own ink, and engraved his name in my skin. I'd remember him. I'd honor him with vengeance. His name was the first, but many more followed. Of course.
She bares her left arm and shows you the name. You softly run your finger across it.
Mindarin. He was Turashar, a keeper of stories. I'm sure he was loved by many. People like him, the beloved dead, they kept me going. Then, one day, it happened. A gush of wind, a sliver of light. Light! I hardly knew it for what it was. A simple oversight that comes with habit. A door, left slightly ajar. That was all I needed to feel a rush of blood, a thirst for liberation like never before. I tore at the shackles that kept me chained to the floor, iron thick as a smith's wrists. Of course they wouldn't budge, they never did before. But now that I saw the light, something welled up inside me, a raw and undeniable burst of power. The shackles broke, and next thing I knew, I was free. I stood alone outside the ruins of a fortress, snow-capped peaks all around me. But the sun, oh, the sun. I had risen as if from the grave, and she kissed me back to life. Why, I traveled back to civilization and had myself a long, luxurious bath. I was given my needle by the master. Guess I'm just sentimental like that. Fine, if it means that much to you.
She draws her needle and holds it up between thumb and index finger.
Go on. Ever so gently touch the tip.
Barely have you touched the needle's pinpoint surface when a thick droplet of blood wells up from your fingertip.
Sharp little minx, isn't she? Sibyl, this needle was forged in an altogether different world. It wasn't wrought upon a crude anvil, hammered into shape with rough blows. No, it was cast with demon precision. It is absolutely priceless, and it's yours. The Master's own words. And he was right. As an instrument of assassination, it's absolutely priceless. But one day soon, he'll find out just how much he overspent on his gifts for little old me. Just why this needle is a girl's best friend. One might say I'm a bit of a sucker for poetic justice.
Just when I think this land holds no more surprises, I find myself in some place even more dismal than the last. Still, at least this is an interesting variation on dismal. Do what you want. What does it matter? My people are gone. Worse than gone. It's all pointless. I could be worse. I mean, I could have spent several millennia in the clutches of the Void, so... Thank you. That means... something. The Eternals. They're not gone. Or, they are. But they're not dead. They're in the Void. The Seven threw them to the Void. They damned them to that. To an eternity of torment. And they did it in my name. They did it because of me. aren't I? If you open the gate and let a mad dog loose, are you not responsible if it savages a child? I gave them my research on the Veil. I gave them a prize to snatch from the king. Worse, I gave them a weapon to use against their own people. The source of the Veil would have made them unimaginably powerful. And their theft left enough of a crack for the Void to pour in. Every wickedness visited on my people. Every evil that stalks this land. It was my fault. True or not, it makes no difference. I did what I did, and my people suffered for it. But if I am to honor their memory, I cannot sit here and mope. I must go on for them, for my family. My loved ones may be gone. The Seven may be corrupt, but I remain. The last true Eternal must survive. And perhaps, just perhaps, I can find a way to bring my people back.
Thane grips you by the arm, his hands strong.
Come, Godwoken. There is work to be done. Still, at least this is an interesting variation on Dismal. Ah, this is perhaps the first intelligent question you have asked. After all, one should always try to learn from one's betters. My people are a race far beyond anything that exists in the world today. We seek to master the secrets of the universe. We craft wonders to last through the ages, long after your crude tools have rusted to nothing. There is a great variety among our people. Some are tall and lithe, others short and muscled. Some come in a variety of eye-catching colors. Others you can barely see at all. This is what makes you such an abomination, you see. You look almost exactly like every other lizard out there, just as every human looks like every other human. Walking through this world is as repulsively bland as staring at a wall for a century. After a while, the very sight of you disgusts me. No offense, of course. I do not know. There are rumors that some have been found at the Black Pits, an oil field on Reaper's Coast. I was trying to uncover the truth when I was waylaid by these Magisters. But wherever the artifacts of my people are, I will find them. We have not simply vanished into thin air. No, I should not. Not yet. Not until I know what truly befell my people. And after all, I am still here, despite the Voidwoken's best efforts. Ignorant! I dare say I have a better knowledge of this world than any creature living in it. Oh, I may be missing some social mores or be unaware of what king waged which war, but why nitpick? Your history is an interminably dull list of mortals that were born, achieved nothing of worth, and then died. Certainly one may have expanded his kingdom, or another invented some way of pickling fish, but what does it matter? Where will your kingdoms be in 100 years? In 1,000? They will all be dust, along with each and every one of your great heroes. Your people and nations come and go, mayflies screaming their importance at a universe that cannot listen. But the universe is always there. The laws that govern your states change over centuries, but the laws of the world, Even when my people walked this land, a dropped apple still fell to the ground. I have yet to see the mortal king that can decree all apples must fall up from their trees, or order fire to produce cold instead of heat. No, these laws stretch to infinity. Understanding them lets you understand the world. That is knowledge worth having. Everything else is arguing over who has built the prettiest sandcastle as the waves creep closer. I fell victim to the enemy of all great minds. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of change. These are the things that poison civilizations. I was on the cusp of a glorious breakthrough, but my king's fear held me back.
Expert warriors for hire. All seasoned in combat.
I discovered a veil hanging across the universe. A barrier of pure source. It was amazing. The kind of discovery on which a civilization turns. Who knows what secrets may have been hidden behind that curtain? But my king forbade me from further investigation. Do you know, I never thought to ask. Between him purging me and casting me into a traitor's tomb.
Guarantee you that.
What a foolish oversight! If only I'd had your prescience and curiosity, I could have saved myself centuries of pondering that very question. Well, certainly he was not pleased with my insistence that we investigate. But the king's word is law. Was law. But the reason I was purged was slightly less intellectual. After the king refused to let me investigate the Veil, I brought the issue up with others. The Seven Lords. Beneath the king in authority, but far above me. I brought them my research. I showed them everything. I had hoped they would help me convince the king of his error, but before they or I could act, I was arrested and... well, my sentence was carried out. I mean, yes, I suppose you could have drained the power from it, but that would have weakened it significantly. It would be quite irresponsible. After all, the power of the thing is not the point. It hid something. Who knows what that might have been? The secrets to the universe could have lain behind that curtain. But I was not given the chance to find out. Now, I fear I never will. He ceased to be my king the moment he turned on me. I did nothing wrong. All I wanted was to further the knowledge of the Eternals. Who knows? Had I been allowed to continue my studies, perhaps I could have warded off whatever catastrophe befell them.
The skeleton stands quietly for a moment.
I'm not sure. Centuries in a tomb can warp one's memory. I remember the big things, of course. My library, my home, my king, my family. But the rest, it's all covered in a fog. And the more I see of this world, the thicker that fog seems to get. Once I would have boasted that it was the best form of government. Indeed, it was the only form of government we knew. Living forever under the rule of a wise king is one thing. But if that king should turn into a despot, if he should reject philosophy and the natural arts for the sake of power, well, I cannot imagine a worse torture. I was a scholar, researching the secrets of the universe. Had I been allowed to proceed, my people could have ascended to godhood as one. An entire race of deities, with a perfect understanding of the universe. It would have solved all of our problems. Indeed, you cannot. Nothing in this world compares to it. We crafted our homes from stone and crystal, using the power of the universe itself to keep them in place. Your people, on the other hand, seem quite content to sit about in smoky hovels, held together by straw and filth. It's a mercy I don't have a nose. I cannot imagine how you stand it. They came rather low in my life, alas. My wife and daughter always had to compete with my work for my attention, and my work was always stiff competition. They were often neglected. I wonder how many more years they spent neglected before. Well, before whatever happened, happened. Well, of course it is. It was crafted with care. 100% ethically harvested from mortals, too. The quality is second to none. Oh, you simply wait until the creature is dead, preferably of natural causes. Although that does limit your choices somewhat. You may end up with quite a few sagging faces. I will never understand why you have so readily accepted aging, or digestion. They are frightful pastimes. Up to a point, certainly. They are frightfully loud, but the selection afterwards is quite good. The faces are often what you might call fixer-uppers, but they're young and quite serviceable, if you get them before the flies do. Poison is preferred, of course. No marks to the face, the subject can be of any age, and death is often quite peaceful. Not for them, of course, but it's significantly more relaxing for me. Indeed, so I gathered from your earlier prattling. I also met someone. Oh no, she was a god, by your standards. When I wore flesh, I knew her as the Lady Armadia. She was one of the 7 lords that served our king. Oh no, they're quite gone. The 7 seem to be all that remains. And they... well, I'm not sure what they are. Not quite gods, but not quite eternals. No, they are something else entirely. Naturally, they acted as any lords would. They bowed to their king and sneered at their lessers. And there was an awful lot of sneering, even back then. One can only imagine how much there is now. Oh, what do you want from me? I'm not here to gossip and titter about my lords. If you wish to know what they were like, you need only to look at yourselves. Each of the races were crafted not just in the image of their gods, but in their temperament too. Vrogir was large and strong as his orcs. Zantezza quick and witty as an imp. And Ralek prone to bouts of fighting and boasting, much like every human I've ever encountered. You were crafted as an act of ego, but one can hardly hold that against the creatures. In truth, the lords never troubled themselves with too much imagination. Yes, well, if you are quite finished wasting my time, I believe we have some business to get on with. I always thought my path was laid out. Become divine. Preserve what's left of your people. It was such an easy narrative. But what if you could do more? What if you could save them all? And worse, what if you had all that power, but they were not worth saving? I don't know. Tell me, what would you do?
Fane nods slowly, lost in thought.
You're not entirely wrong. Then again... Thank you. I will have to think on this. It has been unlike anything I ever imagined. To explore this world with you, to see this world through your eyes, even metaphorically. Well, It has been a privilege.